Hello everybody, apologies for not making many videos recently. I've been really busy trying to take the research that I did in America and turning it into some digital content towards the end of the year, and also rescheduling some stuff. So apologies for being a bit quiet, but I've got some big things planned for when schools reopen, including a big rebrand of the Blue Kazoo brand. And so yeah, it's been a busy time. And I just hope that you've been staying safe and enjoying time spent with family and seeing this as an opportunity to connect with people rather than feeling isolated and alone. So yes, I hope you're all coping well. And I just want to talk to you about one of the things that I've been able to do during this time. And that is about, I've been doing a lot more reading recently. And I wanted to put this idea towards you. I had thoughts about whether to put this video out because I don't have a solution to this problem that I'm going to be posing to you, but I thought it was a really interesting concept, and I think as educators we should all be aware of it. Now these ideas come from a book called Outliers by Malcolm Gladwell. If you find any of this that I'm talking about now interesting, I highly recommend you give this book a proper read. I haven't obviously been advertised by this book or paid to talk about it. It's just a really interesting book that I think throws up a lot of interesting ideas. And one of the first ideas that it talks about is, the whole concept of the book is about success and where success comes from. You know, a lot of the kind of most successful people you can think of, the kind of entrepreneurs, millionaires, people that break through into new territory and feel very revolutionary people, a lot of it is down to hard work, determination and intelligence, and there are lots of great factors about the people that do it, lots of great qualities that make somebody a success. But what this book suggests is that there are other factors outside of that that can really influence and have a much bigger part to play than you may first consider. And these circumstances outside of this person's control have a lot more bearing on how successful they are going to become. One of the things that it talks about is about the revolution in computing and the internet and businesses around there. So it was talking about the people like Bill Gates and a lot of the kind of key people that work at Microsoft, Steve Jobs, those kinds of people. And although these people are incredibly hardworking and you can't take away anything from them about that, it's also bringing together this idea that they were all born around the same time and in very similar circumstances, and they were all given an opportunity to release their full potential on the world. Another idea which I found really interesting, because I'm a big ice hockey fan, is the correlation in birth months of Canadian ice hockey players. You see, it suggests that there is a disproportionate number of Canadian ice hockey players who were born at the start of the year compared to people born towards the end of the year. And this kind of goes back years and years and years, because these players would begin playing ice hockey when they're about 5-6 years old. I know, really young, but during that time, the cut-off date to join teams is right at the start of the year, which means that children born in January have quite a significant physical advantage over the children born in, say, December. So the kids that were born in January get picked for the better teams because they are more physically advanced, probably a bit more mature as well. They get kind of more of almost a 12-month head start on the kids born in December. And this basically progresses and continues. So they then in turn get put into better teams, they get more hours of practice, and they go up against bigger and better competitors, and they basically progress and become better and better until, and this is talking about the Major League A, which is the kind of 17, 18, 19-year-olds. When they're at that point, it has such a knock-on effect that the best players in the league tend to be born in January rather than born in December. And this is just crazy because this went unnoticed for years and years and years, until I think it was about 20 years ago when a study came out that really looked into the effects of this. And Malcolm Gladwell in this book basically explains that if the Canadian Ice Hockey League had a cut-off point in June, as well, and they had January to June and then July till December, they could double the amount of Canadian ice hockey players they were producing. And it's a really interesting idea to kind of split up in those circumstances and competing against children of a similar age to you, and then progressing in different leagues dependent on when you were born in the year, and creating two separate leagues and then doubling the amount of ice hockey players that you get at the end of it, which is a really weird thought. But this is actually shown in education as well. So children who were born in September time, so the cutoff point for when we kind of have our academic years anyway, they have a slight advantage over children who are born kind of towards the summer. So there's this kind of interesting idea of whether we could split those things down the middle and basically produce twice as many children who felt confident in what they were doing and felt like they could do more with their lives, because although it's a lot more insignificant, I think the proportion, I think it's about 40% of ice hockey players are born January, February, March, and less than 10% are born in October, November, December. That kind of difference isn't as big in education, but there is still about a 10% difference between children born in September than children born in, say, August. And again, I'm not sure about creating any kind of solution for this, but it's a really interesting concept. And if you thought this was interesting, I highly recommend that you get a copy of this book, because there's another study in there about children from upper class families and children from lower class families. And it's kind of expected that children from upper class families are going to do better. Maybe they've got higher expectations in life. Maybe they get better support. But there's an interesting theory about how up until the end of the school year, children do about the same, like regardless of their class. And it's during the summer break, so during the holidays, that the lower class children dip. So it actually shows that upper class families, the children in those families, their reading age will go up over the summer, and lower class families, the children will go down over the summer and will actually decrease their reading age over the summer, which again is a really weird concept, and it's not something that as teachers we can really address, because this is all happening over the summer when we don't have any contact with the children. But again, it's something that is really interesting to have in the back of your mind and to think about. Now, this has really got me thinking about how to use the time that we have during this quarantine situation. And as I say, I've been doing a lot of reading. I've been trying to better myself in the kind of videos that I produce. I've been working on the products that we provide in schools and services that we provide. Been working on some more research, so bringing some more character days into schools. I've been trying to learn some little things to do, so like magic tricks. I thought that would be a useful thing to do in a classroom, particularly with something really simple like a coin. You can do this thing where you put it into this hand and then it vanishes. Really stupid trick, and I'm not very good at it, but I think if I keep practicing every day, I think that I can get slick at that and learn better tricks and ways of presenting it, because this would be a handy trick to use if I was to talk about say Loki, the trickster god. If we're doing Vikings, then I can talk about the trickster god, and that's a really great visual reminder of what Loki, the trickster god, could be like. That could be like one of his tricks and his deceptions. So yeah, that's a weird little thing that I thought might be useful in the future. I've been working on doing some more origami, because I think that those kind of things as well, if you just have a few hours with kids and you need some time to fill, I find that origami is really calming, and it's a really interesting process, and you can create some interesting shapes and ideas out of that. So that's something else that I've been working on. And yeah, I'd be interested to hear if you had some things that you wanted to work on in your career as a teacher. Are there little things that you can do to improve what you offer in schools, little tips and tricks and little things just to keep in your back pocket that might be handy when you go back. I appreciate that a lot of you will be parents and will be looking after your own kids, but why not make this a family experience? Why not learn some magic tricks with your own kids? Why not do some origami lessons in your living room? You know, it's a great opportunity to bring everybody together and spend some time whilst developing your teaching techniques and little tricks like that. So yeah, I wish you the best of luck in what's happening. Nobody can really predict what's going to be happening over the next few months or so. I would say that learning how to do videos and things like that is one of the really important things to be working on right now. If you can create digital content and you learn how to present yourself and ideas, that's going to be a huge boost to whatever you do in the future. So I would say that that's a good thing to get started on. If you've never tried that, speaking to a camera is really weird to start with. Nobody feels natural doing it, I promise you. But you get used to it after a while, and that all comes through practice. You've just got to keep doing it and see what happens by the end of it. You know, maybe you can start doing this very conversationally and start sharing your ideas out there, because I think right now we need to keep communicating. We need to keep sharing ideas and keep connected as a group of teachers. You know, we need to be supporting each other and supporting the children as well. You know, we need to have a responsibility to look after them and ensure that their education continues even when they're at home. If you think about the differences in upper class families and lower class families, you know, if we can help bridge that gap or think about those issues as well, you know, maybe we can come together and create more resources and more ways of teaching through this pandemic. You know, this is our opportunity. This is the 1955 of the Bill Gates and the Steve Jobs of the world. This is our opportunity now to really grasp what it is to be a teacher and create digital content and support children through this really scary time. So yeah, if you have any ideas, any questions, any thoughts about anything that I've said, or you just want to chat about teaching, about your fears, about your expectations over the next few months, please do get in contact, and I'd love to have a conversation with you about that. But for now, I shall leave you to your quarantining and to your families and your friends, and I ask that you stay safe, stay at home, and I'll see you all very soon. Goodbye.